Welcome to the Rooted Goddess podcast with your host, Leslie Sprague, where we talk all things wellness, woo-woo, life, and everything in between. As a small-town mom of two amazing kiddos, I understand the challenges of what it's like to stay grounded and go after your dreams. My goal for this podcast is to inspire you to root down so you can grow stronger, rise up, and let your light shine bright so you can be the goddess you are truly meant to be. Think of this as your one-stop shop. It's happy hour with a gal pal while getting truthful and heartfelt about taking the steps forward to living your best life. Hi, and welcome to the Rooted Goddess podcast. Welcome. I'm your host, Leslie Sprague. Okay, so in the last episode, we were talking about being stuck and wondering where to start, and about just taking the small steps. And I want to continue with that a little bit more in this episode. And I also want to touch on, actually, I'm going to not say that right at the moment because that might be a next episode. So hang on there. But so continuing on this next right steps for you. I was actually just reading an article on mother.ly, L-Y. Anyway, I'm kind of confused by that website address. But the article was all about how self-care is not enough. Stop using self-care as a way for mothers to cope with what's going on with them, when in fact it's that moms are burnt out. We're burnt out from all the things that we have to do. The dinner, the laundry, the house cleaning, and taking care of the kids, running the kids, doing all these things, and quite often we get pushed to the back burner. And I 100% agree with what this article was saying. It's not enough to just say, go take a bath. However, I do feel that these things help. Maybe even just a little eensy-weensy bit. Because if you are so far down the burnout rabbit hole, it can be excruciating trying to get yourself back to you. So that being said, doing these things, I find, this is my personal opinion, does help to bring you back on track a little bit. So I want to talk about my mom's self-care kit for a moment. So I created a self-care kit, and these are things that helped me. And so the first one, and we touched on it a little bit in the first episode, is breathing. Just the simple act of breathing. And not just you breathe every second of every day, but focused, concentrated breathing helps to bring your mind back into the present moment instead of being on those 1,000,001 to-do lists that you have to do, thinking about where you've got to run your children tomorrow and for the rest of the week. It helps recalibrate our energy systems. your breath has so much more power than we give it. Take a moment right now and tune into your breathing. How is it? Do you notice that you're a person who tends to breathe a little bit more at the top end of your lungs? So your breath might sound a little bit more like that. You're not breathing fully with your full capacity of your lungs. Or maybe you're one who breathes a little bit more with the bottom end, like that sounded the same. But you know what I mean, like you're breathing only with you're more shallow breather. um when we breathe like that, we are not breathing our life fully. We're not allowing our systems to reset and to resync also. um and then So I encourage you to breathe with your full lung. Take the time, put your hand on your chest, other hand on your belly, and feel the rise and fall of your chest. Try it as an exercise. DM me, let me know what you thought, what you noticed, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't notice anything, and that's okay too. Um, okay, also in my self-care kit, I talk about letting it out. Um, and this, I think, is quite possibly a crucial piece that's missing when we talk about self-care. Um, because quite often we talk about self-care and um, it's things that we do by ourselves. Or at least I think that's the notion that is perceived. So when you it's self-care, self-love, does not mean you have to do it by yourself. So when I talk about letting it out, talk with someone you trust, whether it be a social worker or a therapist or your best girlfriends or your mom or your sister. Let out what's going on. Let it out. Vent. Have a full-on vent session. Those are some of my favorite sessions. And make sure that when you do this, you feel like you're in a safe space, like you're not being judged by what's going on or what's the other person is thinking. And at the same time, make sure that, maybe not make sure, but the other person doesn't have to fix your problems either. Maybe it's enough for you just to vent and let it out. So, but on the flip side, maybe you are looking for a little bit of insight or help around maybe a certain subject or whatever it is. Then talking to those people who can help you in those areas is definitely key. But another way to let it out, because I also know that there are people out there who don't feel as if they have a person that they can talk to, that they don't feel safe in this moment talking to someone. And it can feel lonely and dark. So I encourage you to reach out, find those support groups, and so that you have that safe space, that sacred space. Another way for those that don't feel that they have that space is to let it out. So sorry, I just read that, realized, yes, you know that's what I was talking about. But by letting it out, you can let it out in a journal or in a letter. So let's say there is a situation or a person that you need to resolve your conflict with. Get out an old-fashioned pen and paper and write that person a letter. Now, before you get all up in arms, you do not have to send this person this letter. Just dump all your feelings, your thoughts, and get it out on paper. I, and as I say this, I am, and my girlfriends will attest to this, I am a classic bottler. Okay, so what I call a bottler is someone who keeps their emotions inside, so, and doesn't share anything with anybody, and um, they just deal with all these things on the inside. But that is so unhealthy, and I find this with myself all the time, that I keep things locked up inside of me, but it's like a pop bottle. When you shake those pop bottles and then you take the top off, the fizzy stuff explodes everywhere. When you pile so much stuff on the inside without letting it out, that pop bottle, like, people eventually explode. And I'm sure I can't think of an example off the top of my head right at the moment, but an example where I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? Why did I just react like that? And that is one of those pop bottle moments. And the unfortunate thing is that quite often those pop bottle moments, when you explode, are unfortunately on the people that you love the most, like your husband or your mom or your sister. And they unfortunately were an innocent bystander in your explosion, whether it be an angry outburst or whatever it is. Um, but you can also create a ceremony to let things out. So write that letter. And even if it's, you know what, maybe the person that you need to talk to or want to talk to the most is in heaven, write them a letter. Let them know what's going on. Just let it out. So by writing a letter, or maybe it's just a journal entry, but you really want to let this go, rip that page out of your book and go to a safe space and light that letter on fire. Light that letter up so you can release the energy and the juju and let it go. And when you let it go, then something greater and excuse me, more love can come back to you. Because if we're constantly holding on to stuff that no longer serves us, then we can't make room for the things we want to attract. So it's kind of like doing a spring cleaning of your closet, or your house. Whenever I do my closet, I'm pretty ruthless. I like to get rid of a lot of things. And when I do this, I visualize or think, well, I'm just making lots more room for the new clothes that I am going to be buying to replace this void, because it's like the cup half empty or half full. If it's halfway full of water, is the cup half empty, or is it half full? And depending on how you view it, I view it as the cup is always full, because even though it's half with water and half with air, it's still filled with something. So that space will get returned with something, whether you like it or not. So by letting things go and focusing on shifting to the positive, you can help to attract positive things. So, next on my self care kit was the subject of moving, not physically moving. Well, actually, yes, physically moving. So, when you physically move your body, you are shifting whether you know it or not. So, if you are feeling off or um, like your energy needs to shift, or you're frustrated in a situation at, say, work, then move your body to help shift that situation. So whether it's you like to work and when I say move, do something that you love to do. Dance your buns off with a dance party. Go for a run, do a workout, or do some yoga. So whatever works for you, just move. Taking those small steps forward helps to shift not only your body, but your mindset, your feeling, your energy. And then the other one I like to do is have a bath. And I know this sounds cliche and against um not against. Anyway, it just sounds cliche. But by having a bath with and if you have these things, toss in some Epsom salts, some essential oils to help you release and unwind. When you begin to allow your body to relax, even just for that half hour in the bath, it helps to bring your vibrancy down and to a lower frequency. If you're constantly vibrating way up here because you've got all these things to do and da 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 da, like it helps to lower that, because when you've got all those things going on and you're up in that high, maybe vibrancy isn't the right word, um, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to express here. But when you're constantly like thinking of all the things you got to do, you can't think clearly. So even something as simple as having a half an hour bath can help to bring yourself back down to a manageable level so that you can think, okay, what do I need to do next? And you can take the next right step for you. And the other thing is to meditate. And some of these things you can combine. Maybe not the movement piece or the part of it, but you could be in a bath and writing out a letter to someone or something. You could be in the bath and focusing on your breath. You could be in the bath and doing a meditation. So the meditation is the next piece in the self-care kit. And what that is so meditation for me might be different than what it is for you. I don't want you to think that there is a set way. And you know what? I don't meditate as often as I should. And here I am judging myself on how often I think I should be meditating. But I understand the benefits of it and I would like to do it more. Let's put it that way. Um, so and meditation can be as simple as breathing. getting back in touch with your breath, focusing on that helps to quiet the mind. When I'm talking meditation, I'm talking about quieting your mind and just letting go of the to-do list, and just being present, letting go of those stressful expectations that we have on ourselves. So if you resonate with these suggestions, and you can go to my website, lesliesprague.com, and download a free guide with all these tips on the Mom's Self-Care Kit. And I want to stress to you as well that these self-care does not have to be an inside, and not inside, but it doesn't have to be a job that you do by yourself. I've created a monthly Kula membership, and it is a supportive, engaging community to help this very thing, so that you feel like you're not alone, that there are people who understand you, get you, and are there for you no matter what. So to help you get out of that burnt out feeling, to help you get back in touch with yourself so that you can reignite the light that shines within you, and you can become your best version of yourself. Because when we take care of our cup, if you picture yourself as a cup and saucer, and I still remember this analogy from one of my first coaches. If you picture yourself as a cup and saucer, if you are constantly giving outside of yourself when your rations are already depleted, how are you going to fill yourself up if you're giving from a constantly depleted state? If you fill up your cup first and help your children and your husband and volunteer in your community, things like that, you give that from a state of taking from the saucer that your cup sits on. I think that's where it comes from with the self-care piece. When you take care of yourself first, and by having supportive community, prioritizing yourself instead of staying up till all hours of the night to make sure the house is tidy and do all the things that you don't need to do right now. If you take from the saucer instead of depleting from the rations that are in the cup, I think it will help greatly. And I think I kind of lost my train of thought there at the end. But I think that's where the burnout comes from, is by constantly giving from your cup instead of giving from the saucer. Thank you so much for listening, and let me give you a virtual hug, big squeeze, as a token of my appreciation. At the very least, I hope you had some fun while listening, and maybe even learned a thing or two. And bonus points if I got a chuckle out of you. If you liked this episode, it would mean the world to me if you could leave me a 5-star review, or if you know someone who could benefit from listening, share it on your Insta stories and tag me at Leslie's Yoga and Wellness. Subscribe to this channel if you want to stay up to date with new episodes. By doing these things, it helps to get my podcast noticed so that people who need to hear my message are more attracted to it. Please feel free to stop by my website, lesliespragg.com, and grab a copy of my free Mom Self-Care Kit. While you're there, grab a free few yoga classes. Namaste, goddesses. Until next time.